Welcome and/or welcome back to my channel. I'm Hannah Blackwell, and today I'm going to be bringing you my spring TBR. I am feeling a little bit under the weather today, hence I'm sitting down. I'm wearing a sweater. I'm just kind of cuddled up. I'm just not feeling the best. So, once again, sitting somewhere that I don't usually sit for filming, but this is what I'm doing, especially because I wanted to show off. Can't really see them because they're far away, but I have new snails, and I found them actually like in my garden, and I've wanted snails for a while now, and I was really excited about it. They're doing really well. I named the first one Fred, and then I got another one, and he was a lot bigger than Fred, and we're naming him Goliath, and yeah, so they're doing really well. It's been a huge dopamine like burst for me because I wanted snails for a long time. I mean, I have snails, but I have water snails. So I've got like an aquarium of snails, actually a couple. But they're pink like water snails, and they're really cute. I love my snails. I know, maybe you guys think it's weird, whatever, I don't know, but we have a lot of pets, but some of my favorite are my snails. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get into this TBR. This TBR, number one, just like most of my seasonal TBRs, these are books I think that would be fun to read in springtime. They're not necessarily this spring TBR, though. Like half these books are this spring TBR. So I'll kind of differentiate like if this is a book that I really want to get to soon. But some of these books are just books I think like I picked out. I'm like, this would be perfect for spring. You know what I'm saying? But we'll see. We'll see which one of these I get to. Some of these are books I do really want to get to soon. So yeah. So let's just go ahead and get into this. I've got a whole wide range of books here from I've got ebooks, I've got physical books, I have middle grade, fantasy, romance, thrillers, kind of mystery. I've got all sorts. And I actually have a good chunk of historical romance on here. So let's just get into it. The only middle grade I have here on this list is Greenwild by Perry Thompson. This book's cover is lovely. It's on the back. It says, "Open the door to a spellbinding world oh, that's hard to say. World where the wilderness is alive and a deep magic arises from the earth itself." So this has like plant magic in it, which I think plant magic is just so epically spring and summer. But this is just really cool. I think that this is going to be a very springy, plant magic-y kind of read, and I've heard really good things about this book too. If you look at the map, like there's a giant glass greenhouse even, and the map is just very magical and botanical. Yeah, there's like a heart, there's an oak, there's like cabins and houses like in the trees, there's a giant greenhouse. It just looks like very, very all about the botanical magic. I don't want to know too much going into this book, but it just looks epically spring. And this one I do really want to try to read this spring. Another book that I'd like to read this spring, but I feel like I said this last year too, but it's been on my TBR for a while, and that is Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. This is a cozy fantasy romance that's also like a Regency romance. Our main character, our heroine, is autistic, or it's kind of like a representation of autism in fantasy, something like that. Basically, she has lost half of her soul to a fae, and so because of that, her mannerisms don't quite fit into societal standards, and she kind of comes across as less emotional. This is a romance between her and I don't know who. Okay, so it looks like the hero is Elias Wilder. He's a sorcerer, I believe, a lord sorcerer. I'm not quite sure what that means, but this is supposed to be whimsical, witty. It's Regency. I'm hoping this gives me like Emily Wilde meets like Downton Abbey kind of vibes. I'm really expecting this to kind of like be similar to T. Kingfisher as well. I have certain high hopes for this book, and I hope it doesn't disappoint. I've heard nothing but really good things about this whole series. Y'all know I love my cozy fantasy and my cozy fantasy romance. Okay, so I have another book here, and I'm sorry that I'm gonna try to, maybe if I do this way, the lighting in here is like, I can fix it in editing probably, but, okay, so next I have, Son of the Shadows by Juliette Merlier. This specifically is a book I think I want to read this spring, or I want to read Tower of Thorns, which is book 2 in her other series that I'm in the middle of. I'm not sure which. They're both very cottagecore. This one is a bit darker, I think, this series, and I think that this is going to be a little bit harder to get through. So it's really going to depend on where my, like, how my reading is doing. Am I slumping, or am I like, you know, reading away just fine? If I'm slumping, I don't know if I'm going to get to any Juliette Merlier, because just like Robin Hobb, the writing style is.
Mama, what is the mail, Mama?
You want what?
And my mayo.
Oatmeal? Okay, sorry. The kids wanted to eat, which is fun. So, okay, so Son of Shadows. So either this or another Juliette Merlier I think would be really nice to read in spring, and I do want to continue on. I just don't know for sure. This is definitely going to depend on my reading mood. But the first book in the series is Daughter of the Forest, and then this one follows, I believe, like the next generation. This is Celtic historical fantasy, and really beautiful. There's fae and magic, but it's also pretty like low magic and very character driven. I'm interested in seeing like what happens next with the next generation. Another magical book. This is Witch of Wild Things. It says a perfect mix of magical realism and Sweeney romance. It's by Raquel Vasquez Gilliland. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that. I'm sorry. Okay, so it looks like this is about Sage Flores, who returns to like her hometown, and she starts working at her old job at the Cranberry Rose Company. She can communicate with plants. So again, botanical or plant magic. And I guess there's like a romance. And I think this is supposed to be like just small town, witchy, cozy, witchy romance, which is generally the kind of thing that I adore. So I think this could be right up my alley, as long as I kind of mesh with the writing style. Other than that, it looks like it's probably the perfect book for me, honestly. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. With rare plants to find, a dead sister who haunts her, and another sister whose anger fills the sky with lightning, Sage doesn't have time for romance. But being with Ted is like standing in the middle of a field on the cusp of a summer thunderstorm. Supercharged and inevitable. Oh my goodness. I'm very excited to read this one. I think I would like to read this in spring, if not summer. But it's definitely like on my radar. Okay. Another book with plant magic I'd really like to read soon is The Oleander Sword by Tasha Suri. Epic fantasy has not been my thing recently, and that's okay. Like, I am reading Way of Kings, I'll get to that, but I'd like to read this. This is the second book in the Jasmine Throne. Well, what's the series called? The first book was Jasmine Throne. Burning Kingdoms trilogy? Okay, The Burning Kingdoms. And this has a really cool plant magic too. It's a sapphic epic fantasy. It's very, very political, and it's set in like a mythical kind of like mythical or fantasy version of India, I believe. I can't really talk too much about this one. One, because I don't want to spoil the first book. Two, because it's been too long and I'm not quite sure I remember enough from the first book. So I have to figure out what I have to do is find a recap of what happened in the first book. And if that's enough, I will continue on. But there is a possibility I'm going to have to start over. I really don't want to. From what I remember, there's like this, it's like a disease, but it's like a plant disease that's spreading through the kingdom, where people even have like vines and like stems and things growing through like their hands and their arms, like through their skin. And they can be treated, but like when it gets really bad, they basically get taken over. But that's also part of the magic system, which is really interesting. And our heroine, well, we've got two heroines, right? So one is the king's, or is king or emperor, his sister. And she has kind of like disgraced herself or whatever, and she's kind of been sent into hiding / prison or whatever. And then another is Priya, and Priya, she has these powers of like the deathless waters, and she, I don't know, it's really hard to explain, but anyway, she gets put in charge of being a servant to the princess, who is like a prisoner, basically. This is both of their individual stories and then their stories together. It's kind of complicated, especially with the political system and the different like regions and the power structures and things like that. It's a little bit complicated, but it's really cool, and I do want to I want to continue on. So if you're interested in, if you like political fantasy, and you want a political fantasy with plant magic, especially if you want a political fantasy that's got a sapphic romance, highly, highly recommend. Just because I just mentioned it, I am still reading The Way of Kings, and I'm just reading it really slowly. This is a reread, so I'm taking my time. We are doing a read along in The Hideaway, but it's kind of like super chill and like, you know, read which book when you can or whatever, and like we can chat about it. So super chill. You're welcome to join us. Technically, I think we're supposed to be reading the second book, The Way of Kings, in March and April. So I think I might, but like, I mean, it's fine. And I need to open up that discussion on that Discord. Okay. Anyway, I'm still on the first book, The Way of Kings, and it's a reread, like I said, for me. So I'm just kind of enjoying picking things up and gleaning more from what I'm reading and picking little things up I might have not noticed or things that I forgot. So this has been it's been enjoyable. It's just been slow. I'm reading it slowly, and that's fine. If you've never heard of The Way of Kings, it's a very famous modern day fantasy series. Well, start to a fantasy series. This is going to be Brandon Sanderson's like most epic series. It's going to be 10 books. So it's set in 2 parts. So the first part is the first 5 books. And that finale is coming in November or December, which is why I'm wanting to read the first 4 books this year. This is kind of about this warring kingdom and this war that's going on against the Alethi and the Parshendi. This is a very complicated thing to kind of go over because a lot of the things that this series is about, like, are spoilers. So I don't want to spoil anything, but basically it's like it's a warring and political epic fantasy series with some amazing world building, amazing character development, just really, really good. My favorite series for sure by Brandon Sanderson.
No, you're Neo. You're Neo.
And so I'm still reading this slowly. I will still be reading this spring. Hopefully finishing it and starting the second book, because I have to do that too. You got yogurt on your face. Okay, I gotta pick up these books.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, so I've got my last fantasy here, and it's a fantasy romance. I mean, until I get to the KU stuff, because there's gonna be more fantasy on my like Kindle Unlimited stuff. But this is The Trial of the Sun Queen by Nisha Tooley, and this is supposed to be like The Bachelor meets The Hunger Games fantasy romance style. I don't know much else. Basically, our heroine has been in prison, and she's pulled out to partake in these trials to become the Sun Queen. So to become the Sun King's wife. So like very dangerous bachelor for the kingdom. Sounds pretty epic. Sounds pretty fun. I've actually heard really good things about the series, so I am really looking forward to picking this one up. And I also think like Sun King, Sun Queen, like it sounds like it's going to be perfect for this time of year as well. Okay, next I have some thrillers and mystery. I've got The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware, and that's because this is set on a boat or a yacht. I think this is set on a cruise. I could be wrong. Our main character basically sees someone who everyone else says doesn't exist or something like that. I don't know. But I know it's set on the water, which like this is the time of year for that. No, put that back. And it is, I think, on a cruise, which I think is kind of perfect for this time of year too. And I want to read more Ruth Ware. So I picked that one up as an example of a thriller I might want to read. Another one I have is The Wife Upstairs by Rachel Hawkins. This one, the cover just kind of screams spring to me. But I think this is supposed to be like a gothic, kind of like Jane Eyre type of retelling. And that's all I know about it. Short mystery thriller, and that's all I know about that one. And then I also have Daisies for Innocence, because this is like set in like an apothecary type of garden. No, it's a perfume store. So our main character has a perfume store called Sense and Nonsense, and they make custom made perfume, and she even grows some of her own scents in her garden. So I think that like a cozy mystery set around a magical garden that may or may not, apparently this garden might be magical. So I think that this could be perfect for this time of year. I really want to get to the ebooks that I have too, but real quick, I just want to go through a few historical romances I picked off my shelf. It's been a minute since I've read historical romance, and I've been really wanting to pick it up. So I picked some up that I thought were kind of perfect for the warming weather. The first is a Lorraine Heath book. And I don't know why, but I've been drawn to this one as like the first Lorraine Heath book I would like to read. I know that this series is based off of another series, but with historical romance, you can really start wherever. Like, I don't think it really matters to read series in order. You know what I'm saying? So this is When the Duke Was Wicked, and this cover screams spring to me. And I love this cover. I believe my friend Maria from Maria Might Read That actually read this book. Really, really enjoyed it. So that's another one. Did she gift this one? Yes, Maria gifted this book to me too. So special to me for sure. And I really would like to read it. Okay, let's see. What else do I have here? Okay, so I did pick up a Joanna Lindsey. I have a giant Joanna Lindsey collection. And this is Once a Princess. Now, I've heard there's some problematic things that happen in this book. But look at this step back. Maybe it's more summer, but I do want to read this coming up because this is probably my favorite step back of Joanna Lindsey's. And I think this is set in the South. Yeah, it's in Mississippi. And our heroine has been like forced. She's a princess. It looks like she's an exiled princess, and she's forced to dance for the pleasure of others. And she's not aware of her regal birthright. But then there's this prince that's been sent to America to claim her, because he knows that who she is. So he's been sent to claim her. So I'm not sure what country they're from, but so a long lost princess, prince and princess, like the plot of this book sounds like it's going to be really good. Yeah, it sounds really good. Okay. And then I've got some pirate romances that sound really good. I've got a couple of, apparently I just have one. Okay, I've got a pirate romance here that sounds really good. It's called Pirate's Promise by Bobby Smith. It's one of those zebra heartfire romances. And it's one of the ones I really like that has like the pink sunset kind of look. And this sounds like the kind of pirate romance I want. Like straight up swashbuckling Caribbean pirating. You know what I'm saying? And it says, sworn to avenge the brutal attack of his fiancée by a bloodthirsty buccaneer, passionate Adam Trent poses as a wealthy planter by day and a ruthless Captain Spectre by night. And so he goes to New Orleans where he like wins a plantation. And the plantation is where Leanne Ducharme lives. So he's like somehow won her plantation because her guardian has like gambled it away. And so she doesn't really have anywhere to go. And so he lets her stay there, I guess. And I guess they fall in love. So I don't know. There's swashbuckling pirating. There's Louisiana love. I don't know. I'm interested to see like how this goes. I love a pirate romance. And I want some crazy. And I've heard this book has some crazy for me. This is Shanna by Kathleen E. Woodowitz. And I've heard that this is got a pretty like fast-paced and crazy plot. So I do want to read this one. And it starts out, I guess, at Newgate Prison, and this criminal consents to wed a beautiful heiress, rescuing her and his name from an impending arranged union. And then I guess they somehow end up in the Caribbean, in a Caribbean paradise. So is this a pirate too? I don't know. But I know that Kathleen E. Woodiwiss is known to be like the first writer of historical romance, or what we think of as historical romance now. So she's kind of like a goddess, a queen in this subgenre. So I want to read from her. And I think that Jess from Peace Love Books really liked this one. I know there was another one she didn't like, but I think this is the one that she really liked. And I need some crazy plot in my historical romance right now. Like, we're warming up, like, but I want the crazy, like, adventure, twists and turns, fun kind of historical romance right now. So I've got that one. And then I also have Beneath a Midnight Moon by Madeline Baker. Y'all check out this cover and then check out the freaking step back. Look at that. That's lovely. That is so flipping gorgeous. I don't know much about this one at all. Even the back is so pretty. The synopsis is very vague. I picked this because of the artwork. So I saw it and I was like, yeah, let's think about reading that. And then I also have Shannon Drake's Damsel in Distress. And I picked this one for the same reason, for its cover, but because of there's flowers all in her hair. Really pretty. And then the step back also has like pink flowering trees too, which gives me spring vibes. A gorgeous Fabio step back, by the way. This might be medieval, and I love a medieval one. So if this is like a spring kind of medieval romance, and it looks like the knight, the hero, is an ally of the notorious Robin Hood, Lord Damien. He's dedicated his life to fighting against tyranny and injustice. Oh, how fun. And the heroine is an heiress, Kathleen de Montrain, and she is forced to marry for her own protection, vowing never to submit to her handsome, virile guardian, Lord Damien Montjoy. Let's see if she can be tamed, I guess, is kind of the idea on this one, which I love. This looks really good. Okay, so that's everything I have for my physical TBR books. I think are going to be, like, I have more books I would like to read. Obviously, I always have like a million books I want to read. But these are the books that I think look like spring books, or books that look like books I want to pick up right now. Kind of a mix between the two. Now, I do have more because I have my Kindle stuff. So let's go through with the Kindle. So the first one I have is To Ravish a Rogue by Sam Nascosta. And this is because, like I said, I'm kind of feeling the pirate vibe right now. And this is like a pirate monstery fantasy romance. I love Sam Nascosta. I love her writing. I think her books are just fun, sexy times. And I've been wanting to pick this one up forever. It is inspired by a Joanna Lindsey. I think that's the only Joanna Lindsey I've read is, oh shoot, I can't think of the name of it right now. It's one of her Mallory books. Another one is Stone Hearts, a Monster and Fae romance, and this is by S.E. Wendell. I keep on hearing Mama Needs to Read romance talk about this, okay? And B has great taste. She's not super into fantasy romance usually, but she's been really into S.E. Wendell's writing, which makes me want to try S.E. Wendell's writing. And this one looked really springy. The colors on the cover just made me think of spring. And I liked the synopsis. So I thought this might be the perfect one. It was only 200 pages too. So this is set on the Isle of Albion. Carrie's, I'm not sure if that's how it's pronounced, but has been pitted by other gargoyles in her clan. So she's part gargoyle, but her wings are malformed. She can't fly. And then Gabriel says he's a wounded soul, he craves freedom, and he finds solace in this mysterious maiden who visits him through a rift in his prison. So I think that he's a fae and she's a gargoyle, which is kind of a cool twist on that. I don't think I've ever read a book about a female gargoyle before. And it just sounds really sweet. And it's kind of like a unlikely love story kind of thing. Then I have a book by Angela J. Ford. I wanted to try her out for a while. She writes fantasy romance. And this one is Queen of the Wildwood. And this is about Eula. She's a mage. She's got volatile magic and it only brings unhappiness. Her sister dies and her town is now in grave danger. So she goes to search for the Dark Queen, who is like legendarily evil. So she ends up with this handsome knight who helps to guide her into the treacherous forest, unaware that her choice will have dire consequences for herself, the knight, and the Queen of the Wildwood. I'm guessing this knight / guard or guide or whatnot is going to be having a romance with her. And it sounds really cute. It's short. Once again, the cover I thought was very spring-like. So I downloaded this one. And it'll be a good chance to try some Angela Ford. Okay, another one that I think is super springy and looks to have those cozy monster romance vibes that you guys know I love is On the Care and Keeping of Orcs by Cass O'Shire. This cover, guys. This cover, I'm obsessed with this cover. It's stunning. Absolutely stunning. I want to sit here and stare at it. I'm obsessed, and it gives me all the spring vibes with the cozy monster, but I love how it has like the pink frame around it too. It looks like we have a plus size heroine, and like she looks very like tavern wenchy, and obviously an orc. And this one, let's see, let me look at the synopsis real quick. It says, stealing some horses from a magical fortress should be easy after raising twins and enduring 2 weeks with the orc that broke her heart. Katrin's half-orc children are going through a difficult growing phase, but since their orcish father left while she was pregnant, she doesn't know how to help. So she's a single mom, and it looks like this is a second chance romance, but I don't think he's the father of the children. He's like a high school sweetheart kind of thing. Our heroine is a rabbit shifter. A rabbit shifter. I'm feeling like this is like an ultimate spring book. Oh, it looks like Tiff from Tiff Talk Pages read it. She gave it 4 stars. Okay, so I'm thinking this is gonna be good. Okay, I'm excited for that one. That is gonna be really cute. Single mom, plus size rabbit shifter with an orc. Stop. I have so many books on here that I want to talk about. This is ridiculous. Okay, I also really want to talk about Starlight and Shadows. It's a sapphic, cozy fantasy romance. It says, a scholar's dream, a pirate's curse, only one can be saved. So this is set in Illyria. Oh my god, this sounds really cute too. So this is about a half-elf, and she decides to open her own alchemy store. Her name's Illyria. And she yearns to make her shop a bastion of magic for all. But apparently she kind of like gets in trouble with the local crime syndicate and awakens an ancient curse. And then our other heroine is Briar, and she's a pirate and a half giant. And she's on the hunt for a celestial prison. And they end up kind of like forming an alliance and working together and then having a romance through that. So this sounds really cute. So there's a pirate half giant. It's sapphic. This sounds really cute. This sounds so cute. Okay. I have other books I want to read too. Another one is Veridios, which is about this giant forest alien creature. And this scientist, she's like basically doing science research on this alien planet and comes across this giant forest creature. Think like the Ents in Lord of the Rings. And they have a romance. I don't know how that works. I heard about that one from Ava's romance books, and she really enjoyed it. And so I'm interested in that one too. I have more on here. Oh my gosh, I have so many I want to read. I really want to read When the Moon Hatched too. This is by Sarah A. Parker. I love Sarah Parker's writing, and everyone's been freaking out over this book. And I know some people don't like it so much because of the writing style, but I already know I like her writing style, so I think I'm gonna love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, there's more that I want to read, but I think I'm gonna have to like cut this short because I've been talking forever, and I'm excited about a lot of these books. I'm excited to get into the spring vibes of reading. I've already been doing gardening for a while too, and the spring and seed starting, and I'm in the green, like, spring feelings. Our azaleas are starting to bloom. It's a beautiful time of year. I love spring. It's my favorite season. I wish I was like not feeling under the weather right now, but I'll feel better soon. Anyway, if you guys like this video, don't forget to click the like button and comment, and let me know what you're looking forward to reading. If you've read any of these books, which ones you think I should prioritize. Subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, fellow readers, keep reading and living your best life.
Guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your